Hello and welcome to Ask M&R Productions episode 157, the series where I answer your questions. So if you have a question you want answered on next week's episode, leave it in the comment section down below. It can be about LEGO, Star Wars, me, yourself. Anyway, we got some bangers on today's episode. If you guys enjoy, make sure you leave a like. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe for more awesome LEGO content. Our first question comes from Fexar TV, and he says, should LEGO release retro Star Wars sets, not upgrading them, with old build style and yellow heads, sets from 1999 to 2004. So I'm assuming you're asking for just straight up re-releases of original LEGO Star Wars sets. And I am predominantly against this. I could perhaps make an exception as like a promotional set, but on the whole, I think LEGO is way better off just making new things, whether it be upgrades to old builds or just completely new things they haven't done before, versus literally making these older and objectively crappier models by today's standards of model building. I also fear you could go and devalue something that maybe some people hold near and dear, and you don't want to do that necessarily either. So it's a bit of a tough one, but I ultimately think that it's one of those things that if LEGO was ever going to do it, they would have already done it, and it's clearly something they don't really have too much interest in doing because you don't really see it in other lines either. You see upgraded things, but you don't see straight up just ripped re-releases of the exact copy of things they've done before. So I think ideally the answer to this for me would be no. Even as much as I love some of those Star Wars sets from the early 2000s, part of what makes them special is that they're from the early 2000s and they're hard to get and that they aren't just commonly found in stores. There's just something about having those older things because they are now rarer than they would be otherwise. What I'm not particularly against though is them maybe doing a one-off set of like an actual like newer set in an older style. So the one I had seen for quite a while on the internet was a mock-up of a 1999 style Razor Crest. And I always thought that was kind of a really neat concept to like say, hey, we know this thing is newer, but this is what it would have looked like 20 years ago, and I thought that was kind of a fun way to do it. Maybe you only use pieces from the time, and maybe that would even work as a promo set, like if they ever make a UCS Razor Crest, a promo is a 1999-ized Razor Crest. That'd be pretty sick. Burner Build says, what is one set that you can't believe LEGO hasn't made and one set that they have made that you can't believe they've made? I think for what they have made that I'm kind of surprised they've made would mostly fit under Indiana Jones, because LEGO has a long-standing company rule of not making things depicting modern war, and I think World War II would fall under that. And LEGO, from what I understand, and I haven't watched Indiana Jones, I know, burn me in the comments, but basically made a bunch of military stuff from Indiana Jones. Like, look at these sets, they have guns and stuff, like it's pretty obvious, and some of these characters basically depict the German soldiers at the time, but I am just very surprised they actually went out and made those. Like, it's kind of a shocking thing. They have World War II vehicles and airplanes and stuff in that series of sets, and I don't personally care. Like, I know LEGO has this rule, and some people hold like, oh my god, LEGO's gonna make a military set, I'm gonna lose my mind. Who cares? Plenty of other companies make military toys. Are you not losing your mind over that? Quite clearly, you're not, because you're sleeping every night. But yeah, it doesn't matter to me, but I'm kind of surprised they did it, given their rule with most other things. As far as a set that they haven't made, I think the biggest one for me just has to be a UCS AT-AT. The AT-AT is far and away the most popular thing they haven't made a UCS version of. I don't count the motorized one as a true UCS, but it's certainly not even close to what I think we'll eventually see LEGO come up with for a UCS AT-AT. I'm talking like $600, $700, $800. It could even potentially be the 2021 $800 UCS set. We don't know for sure that it's a Death Star at this point. I think that has kind of been run with. Let's hold the horses there. Could not be. I also don't think it's 11,000 pieces, but that's a whole other thing. I think that number is completely bogus. I have no idea where it came from. I have been told a much more reasonable number that's not 11,000. It can't be. Anyway, UCS AT-AT, it's kind of one of those shocker things they haven't made yet. I think the biggest reason they haven't made it is they've essentially had a tough time getting that model to be stable. Like, a UCS AT-AT is a no-brainer for LEGO, right? Like, they do all these big original trilogy UCS sets. The AT-AT has to be on their like wish list of things they want to release. It's just a matter of either timing for release or fixing up the design enough to be a stable model that LEGO can actually say, hey, we'll put our name on this and release it and it won't fall apart when you pick it up. Medio Christ has an odd one for you. He says, what is your opinion on people who don't return their shopping cart? I don't think it's that bad. Like, most people just leave it in the parking lot, like, and it's someone's job, therefore, to go in the parking lot to pick up all the shopping carts. So honestly, it creates jobs, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Until they automate all the shopping carts to go ahead and drive themselves right back to the shopping cart kiosk, or whatever the heck. Like someone is getting paid. Shine says, I was on Amazon and there's this thing called a super battle pack. Is this real? Yes. Have you got one? No. Is it worth the money? That's going to be subjective. We'll get to that. And here's a set number, I believe, 66596. So we'll take a look at the one you have specifically suggested. But essentially, these super battle packs get released at Costco, I believe, as kind of like Christmas things every year for Costco to sell, because they're a wholesaler. They get these double battle packs and they wholesale them basically at like $23.99 in their stores. And so this one in particular looks like it's the Jedi and Clone Troopers versus the Imperial Patrol Troopers. Not really a versus, but just kind of combined in one set. And basically it'd be like $24 for the two battle packs that would otherwise cost $50. So when you see them in the store, yeah, they are objectively worth the money compared to buying the set separately, because you're only going to be paying like $11 or $12 a battle pack, and that's just a pretty decent deal compared to what they are otherwise. So in that way, it's worth the money. I don't know what these ones in particular, or really any of them, go for currently on eBay, and it's not something that I have personally gone out of my way to even collect one of to this day. It probably is something that I should start going out of my way to get all of them just to keep sealed. I don't need to open them at all. Like, they aren't any different than the actual battle packs. They just happen to come along with another battle pack, kind of as a 2-in-1 thing. LEGO has always done super packs like this. They originally came in like plastic packaging like this, and they would come out and you'd buy a 2-in-1 set essentially. And then obviously with these, they've come in and given them their own box art and everything, instead of just like black border and then plastic around it. They give it a little something extra spice, if you will. So if you find the concept cool, absolutely, all you, go buy one. But I have never really thought they were worth my time or money to go and try to get, and they have never been in a store that I've seen, like Walmart or Target is where I usually shop anyway. So they don't sell them there. So unless you have like a Costco membership, you've probably never seen one in store yourself either. Sky King says, what is the most overrated theme from the 2010s? Ninjago, I think, is the obvious answer. I think it's, I don't think it's grossly overrated, but I don't think a lot of things from the 2010s were but I think if you're asking what's overrated, I think Ninjago. I think a lot of people look at Ninjago with some rose tinted goggles. There's nothing wrong with that, but I don't think it's as good as a lot of people come out and try to put it up to be. But hey, it works well for LEGO. If you're into it, you're into it. Don't shoot the messenger. I just don't think it's that great. That being said, I honestly might buy Ninjago City Gardens. What I'm going to do with it remains to be seen. Maybe I'll put a poll on screen and you can vote for what I'll do with it. Who's to say? Emerson Plays, and I actually saw this question from a couple other people, so this is kind of a multi-answer for some folks. What happened to the Mosaic set reviews? Nothing happened to them. I think I did answer this, and that's probably why you're following up on it, is that I originally wanted to review them right when they came out. I wanted to get all 6 to do the review, though. Like, I didn't want to just, like, review it and show one of them, kind of like I did with the Harry Potter one, which I guess could have worked. Like, the Harry Potter video turned out fine, and I think people enjoyed it. But because it was Star Wars, I wanted to have all of them anyway, and so I couldn't get them all because they sold out, and they were out of stock for a few months, and then they finally came back in stock, and I finally got them maybe a month or two ago. And so while I built 2 of them, the Darth Vader and I believe the Darth Maul, 4 of them are still unbuilt, so I still have quite a ways to go on producing that video. It's just going to be a while. I will probably never have an answer as to when it's coming out. It'll just happen one day, and it'll be a nice surprise for you, I'm sure. But yeah, sorry that one's taking so long, but building these is no small feat. Yeet wants to know, should I get the police station modular or the Barracuda Bay? So as an owner of both, I think I can very fairly say that the Barracuda Bay is far and away the better standalone set. If you don't have any other modulars to put the police station next to, I think you're kind of wasting your money. I think saying someone's wasting their money is kind of a stupid thing to say, because the satisfaction you derive from it may be different than the satisfaction I derive from it. But I just think Barracuda Bay overall is the better set and experience. I think it's great that it's a 2-in-1 model. We can kind of have the crash ship, or you can have the full-on ship, and I think that is an awesome thing to have in a LEGO set, where you kind of get to have some say in what you're going to be displaying there. And then, of course, it has a ton more minifigures, I think, as well as just a really fun story to it. Not that the police station doesn't have a fun story to it, but yeah, I think Barracuda Bay is just an awesome pirate ship and shipwreck area that you can have versus the police station, which is just really linear. Like, fine, great, whatever, you might be into that, but Barracuda Bay is absolutely what I would go for. Plus, like, it has way cooler box art, and I don't see why you shouldn't buy a set solely based on having better box art. Yoda Joe says, I just saw a TikTok where this guy explained how people bought the most expensive sets and they throw them out when they are done. What do you think about those who do this? And the TikTok username is Top Tier Bus Driver for reference. So I went and looked this up, and very fascinating little video of this guy that apparently used to work at a LEGO store.
What's the most insane actual rich person behavior that you've experienced?
So let me preface this off by saying I used to work at the LEGO store for over 5 years. Well, one day this woman comes in and asks, well, what do you guys do with them when you're done building them? And I said, what do you mean by that? She says, my son's only interested in building them. He has no interest in putting them anywhere, and we can't donate them. That's trash. We just throw them out when we're done. We just throw out Legos when we're done? I saw these people for weeks buying $500 sets, $300 sets, $200 sets, like it was nothing, and they just throw them out.
Good for them. They have enough disposable income to do whatever the heck they want. That's what I think. Like, honestly, like, they can do whatever they want. If they want to throw it out, great. If they want to put it in the recycling bin, great. If they want to give it to charity, great. If they want to sell it, great. They can do what they want. So a bit of recording after I recorded this original bit, listening to his story again, I noticed he said that the lady said that donating things to charity is trash. I can't necessarily say I support that statement. That's not the greatest look, but I still stand by they can do whatever the heck they want with what they own. It sounds insane to most people. I agree. I think it's insane to just throw something out that you paid good money for. But like I said earlier, I guess the satisfaction someone derives from something can be completely different from the satisfaction you or I may derive from it. So it's not hurting you, so I don't see it as a big deal. Darth Jar Jar says, do you think Trouble on Tatooine is going to have its price raised? So no, I don't know why you think this. I have not seen this sentiment a lot in the LEGO community, so I think this is a good thing that I'm not seeing this a lot, but I'm not really sure where this idea of a set getting its price raised is coming from. The only time that I can really think of a set getting its price raised was some of the battle packs in the like 2009, 10, 11 range, when kind of year over year LEGO Star Wars was making small incremental price increases to them. They went from $9.99 to $10.99 to $11.99 to $12.99, and then they just jumped straight to $14.99, and then they've kind of stayed there other than the two anomalies with the Fire First Battle Pack and then the Imperial Dropship Battle Pack from 2019. So we're venturing in the garage for this bit. So as you saw on the clip from Just Too Good's thing, these battle packs originally retailed for $9.99 when they released, but LEGO stores would put stickers with the price on the bottom, so this one would have been purchased probably near the end of the set's life cycle because it actually gone through 2 price increases up to $11.99 at that point. So there, that proves my point. Battle packs did increase in price over time in their official retail pricing, which is kind of odd. Like I said, doesn't happen for a lot of LEGO sets. If you know of any other examples, let me know in the comments. I'm actually really curious, but that's the only one I can think of. It's not like a repackage. It's not like a reissue of it. It's while the set was available during its like allotted availability time. Other than that, like sets when they come out are the price they are, and they stay that price unless they go on sale, in which case they'll cost less. But LEGO themselves doesn't change the retail price of a thing and upcharge on it. The only time you ever see something cost more is because an Amazon third-party seller or Target or Walmart third-party seller is selling it for more, not because the stores themselves are selling it for more. So just to hopefully clear up some possible confusion on that. I want to do a video about the Amazon, Target, Walmart third-party seller thing because it's kind of a shame the way it's kind of molded into the way it is. Matt Lawton says, I just recently took interest into LEGO Star Wars. I really love it, but it's such an expensive hobby. Would you recommend getting Lepin to someone who enjoys building and collecting but doesn't want to spend a lot of money? Morally, I can absolutely not recommend that. I believe Lepin is an illegal product. They have come in and stolen what LEGO has designed and what Star Wars owns as copyright and trying to pass it off as their own and sell it for I just do not think that's a good thing. It doesn't fit with my morals or how I think the world should work, and it doesn't fit with how most of the world does work. It just unfortunately exists because I feel like China seems to be pretty lax on a lot of things like that, and so they get out, and yeah, but that's a whole nother thing. And I also would say, like, I mean, would you derive the same satisfaction from it knowing, like, you're only lying to yourself, right? I've always heard this saying, like, in regards to like cheating in games, like, especially in like it's kind of like cheating in a single player game, I guess. And I agree, it's an expensive hobby. LEGO Star Wars is not cheap. In 2021, I believe if you want to buy all the sets, it'll cost you like $2,400. And last year it would have cost you about $2,000. Like it's not cheap, but I think part of the satisfaction for me and maybe many others in collecting something is that you have the real thing, right? You can go out and buy a ton of fake stuff and look cool, I guess, for real cheap, but like you're only lying to yourself that you've bought these knockoff things. And to be very frank, like Lepin is of inferior quality. Like it's just not as good. And you don't have all these guarantees that you get with LEGO. Like if you're missing pieces, they'll replace them. Like I know that may not make up for the difference in value, but it's something. And on top of that, you just have the real thing. And I don't think you can compare a fake thing to the real thing and be, hey, yeah, it's just as good for me in a case like LEGO. I mean, I'm very purist. Obviously, I come from a position of someone who's loved LEGO my whole life, but I can't wrap my head around wanting to have a fake thing and just like be really okay with that most of the time. I don't know. You may have been coming to me for an answer of yes, but my answer is definitely no. I could not recommend going out and buying the fake stuff. Like I know it's expensive, but I think there is something way cooler and more satisfying about having the real thing and having maybe saved up and earned the real thing. And maybe you'll have less of it. You most certainly probably will. Like I could have way more plastic, I guess, if I had bought all Lepin instead of LEGO, because it would have been half the price. But to me, that's just not cool. 26 likes, so I'll give it an answer. Jack Jeffrey says, has LEGO ever confronted you about over harshly criticizing their products in reviews? No, and I hope to God they never do, because the day they do, it'll be a big problem. It's completely immoral for a company to tell you the way you can talk about their product, in my opinion. If they came to me and they're like, you can only say good things about this, I'd tell them to F right off, and I'd probably never work with them again. That would be completely and utterly ridiculous to me. I could not get behind that. You cannot have a company make a product, send it to someone like me, who a lot of people really look at my opinion of something and maybe decide whether or not to actually spend their money on something. And for me to lie to them would just be insane. And for that to happen because behind closed doors, company X, Y, or Z, and in this case, the example would be LEGO, was like, hey Ryan, we know you don't like the 2020 AAT, but like, can you leave out the bad stuff in your review? Like, that's bad. That's not good. That's absolutely terrible. Like I don't think people understand what they're saying when they get upset that I said bad things about something I got for free. You're asking me to lie to you about something that is a sponsored product that someone gave me. But it's why I think disclosure is really important, and why up front in any video that's sponsored from LEGO that they sent me something, I'll be like, LEGO sent me this for free. But obviously, the rest of the video is my opinion on the set. I really like to think I don't have any bias because someone gave me something for free. I'm going to tell you my true opinion. And I think that's why I've done really well on YouTube. Cubic Llama Gaming says, when do you think the Skywalker Saga will come out, or when will we get a new trailer? I'm not sure if we'll get a new trailer, but I have really been seeing like around the internet that May 31st might actually be the real date. Like I've seen like real like poster with May 31st on it, which is weird because I think it's a Monday, but I think it might be the day. Like I know I've also seen some people say it's a placeholder day. I really wish they would just release it on May the 4th. Like I don't understand why LEGO and all these companies like miss this whole thing with May the 4th. Like it's the perfect day to release your Star Wars product. I guess LEGO kind of does it with the UCS set, but they have this like April wave that came out on like April 20th or something a couple years ago, or for the last few years. It's like, why not just release it on May 4th? It's like for the coolness factor of the date alone. Yeah, I think May 4th would be the optimal date. I don't think that's going to happen. I think May 31st seems like the most likely date right now, but hopefully we at least know by like April what's going to be happening, because this game has been delayed like crazy time and time again. But I think in this case, unlike with Cyberpunk or whatever, the game will turn out pretty well. I think it's being delayed for all the right reasons, and that it should come out to be this epic monster game. Vettel says, why do some heads have a hollow stud on top and some are closed off? So I'm not really sure why some are and some aren't closed off, but the reason that I believe they are open sometimes, I guess, is so that if a child swallows the headpiece and it gets in like their esophagus or whatever, clogs up their breathing tube, that there can still be airflow there, essentially, because it's a little yellow thing. It looks like a little candy, I guess, right? Like I can understand why a 6-month-old would put that in their mouth or whatever. Like, makes sense. And so essentially the hole is just there so that air can continue to pass through, even if this solid object were to get lodged in a little child's throat, unfortunately. So I think that is the reason why they leave the little hole open. I do not know why it's sometimes closed off, though. I don't know if that's an older thing or if that's just kind of a weird mix thing, just depending on who the set is aged for. Will Jensen says, odds we see a remake of the 2012 UCS R2-D2 in 2021 or beyond. 2021, nearly 0. Beyond, 100%. Jim Halpert says, do you still take bad puns for Ask M&R? It's been a while. It's been a while, but why not? If so, why did Krennic eat his space waffles? Because he choked on his aspiration. Martin Super says, my son and I are both overly excited by the possibility of a new Boba Fett figure with freshly printed armor like in Mando. Could it happen? Also, Cobb and Speeder with Boba armor would be sweet. Your thoughts? So, Martin, I'm excited to tell you that I think this is practically a guarantee that we'll get Boba Fett with his new, fresh green armor because of the Book of Boba Fett. LEGO has got to make a set or two at least based off of that little mini-series that they're going to have next December. I would assume those sets would maybe come out January of 2022. And I believe in this little Book of Boba Fett series, Boba should be in his new armor, right? Because he got it and painted it, and it's in that timeline of after he's painted it. It only makes sense to me that he would have his fresh coat of paint in this new series and subsequently the new LEGO sets based on it. Anyways, that is going to do it for Ask M&R episode 157. If you guys enjoyed, a like is greatly appreciated. If you have a question you want answered on next week's episode or a little stupid pun joke thing, leave it in the comments down below. Peace out.